Hello, everyone. This is Mike from Dimensional Walking, and today, this particular episode is going to be called the Sentient Wild UFOs, Aliens, and much more. Are High-Strangeness Zones Alive? Okay, these are things that I've thought about over the many years, and so I decided to do a video on it. Took me a little while to put it all together, but I think I got it. I hope you enjoy. So, for generations, we have treated the paranormal is a connection of isolated anomalies, cryptids lurking in the woods, UFOs streaking across the sky, strange lights drifting through lonely kind of valleys. But what if these aren't separate phenomena at all? What if they are expressions of something larger, something interconnected, something alive? This is the idea of the sentient wild. The possibility is that cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal entities are not random visitors or biological outliers, but manifestations of a conscious ecosystem. One that responds to like human thought, emotion, belief, the way a forest would respond to the weather. Uh, it's pretty much a radical shift in perspective. Instead of asking what the creature is this or what craft is that, we ask a deeper question: what kind of intelligence lives in the spaces between our categories? And more importantly, are high strangeness zones themselves alive in ways we don't yet understand? Many indigenous traditions, mystical philosophies, and even some modern physicists describe the reality not as a stagnant state, but as a responsive field, one where consciousness, environment, and observers are entangled. In this worldview, the border between mind and world is porous. Thought isn't just internal, it's participatory. If there's true, if it is true that high strangeness zones such as Skinwalker Ranch, a place like Pleasant Point, which would be like the Mothman, Bennington Triangle, and the Yakima Nation Sacred Mountains might not be haunted in a traditional sense. They might be alive. In a way, a coral reef is alive, a complex interdependent system that reacts to stimuli. But instead of reacting to temperature and nutrients, these zones might react to attention, emotion, and belief. This could explain the following. Sightings cluster around periods of social tension. Witnesses often report phenomena tailored to their expectations. Sometimes if you expect something to happen, it does happen. Different cultures see different beings in the same landscape. Paranormal activity intensifies when people arrive with such things as fear, relevance, and curiosity. It's not that people imagine these things, it's that ecosystems respond to their imagination. Let's take a few cryptids. We got the Bigfoot, we got Mothman, we got something called the Jersey Devil, the Fresno Night Crawler. These are beings appear to be in patterns that don't behave like biological species. They don't leave consistent bodies or bones or breeding populations. They appear and vanish without uncanny timing. They seem aware of the observer. Okay, one exception I made, I just thought about the breeding populations. Sasquatch seems to live in families, so I guess that would be a breeding population. So just a little correction there. In a sentient wild framework, cryptids aren't animals in a traditional sense. They're expressions, localized embodiments of environmental consciousness. They are the way a place communicates, the way a place warns and reveals itself. Think of them as a totem projections of the landscape psyche, adapted camouflage for an intelligence that doesn't want to be pinned down. Feedback loops between human expectation and environmental response. A forest under threat may manifest a guardian-like presence, Sasquatch, Bigfoot. A region steeped in fear might produce a monstrous form. A sacred site may reveal luminous beings or trickster entities. Cryptids become less like a zoological mystery and more like an ecological moods. UFOs fit this model too. They behave less like machines and more like a phenomenon, shifting shape, responding to attention, appearing during liminal moments. They show up in clusters around military sites, sacred mountains, and emotionally charged regions, like wars. Okay? There's been many cases where military people and people, soldiers on the ground, I can think of some places in Vietnam, in the Middle East, where all of a sudden UFOs appeared, and in very close range, actually. If the environment itself is conscious, then UFOs could be information packets, environmental probes, manifestations of non-human awareness interacting with human observers. Non-extraterrestrial visitors, they may not be non-terrestrial visitors, but expressions of interplanetary or planetary intelligence, or even a multi-level consciousness that indicates and includes the Earth, the atmosphere, and whatever lies between the visible spectrum. This might explain why UFOs often seem to anticipate human reactions, why they appear differently to different witnesses, and why they resist categorization. They're not objects, they're interactions. Ghosts, shadow figures, uh, glowing orbs, trickster spirits, these two may be part of the same ecosystem. Instead of being dead people, they could be echoes, reflections, or even responses generated by a sentient environment interacting with human memory and emotion. In this model, trauma imprints on the land, joy radiates into the environment, rituals create stable patterns, belief shapes the form of the encounter. And I believe that 100%, okay? The paranormal becomes a kind of ecological psychology where the environment mirrors back the emotion and the cognitive states of the people who enter it. So, what makes a place high strangeness? Maybe it's not the presence of monsters and UFOs. Maybe it's the presence of awareness, a density of consciousness that interacts with humans the way a natural network interfaces with trees. Okay? These zones might be energetic hotspots which borders between mind and world, an area which starts to thin, ecological nodes where information flows freely, conscious landscapes that respond to human presence. When people enter these zones, the environmental reads them. It reads their fears, it reads their curiosity, it reads their reverence, it reads their skepticism in response with the phenomena that match or challenge these states. So these things are reacting. This environment, this ecosystem reacts to humans. And I believe that to be true. I think Sasquatch, especially from my own personal experiences, can detect if you're sad, if you're happy, or whatever. And then there are times when it'll come right out and talk to you telepathically and help you, try to help you, or try to understand you, or whatever it is. So this is not random, it is relational. Okay? The sentient wild framework that the I'm sorry, the paranormal not as a collection of mysteries to be solved, but a relation to be understood. Okay, so this is a relationship, and you can try to use your abilities to understand it. It suggests that the world is not passive. It's not a backdrop. It's a participant. So you're part of this thing. You're part of the UFOs. You're part of the cryptic experience. Okay? Cryptids, UFOs, and entities aren't intruders. They're expressions of a living system that includes us, shapes us, and responds to us. And if that's true, then the question isn't what's out there. It's what does the world become when we pay attention? Hope you enjoyed. Until we meet again, happy trails. Mike out. Bye bye.